everybody, it's Rob Seaver, Executive Director with LeadsCouncil. I'm bringing you, I think, our fifth edition. I don't know. I'm running out of fingers of our on-air podcast with our executives. They could be board members, they could be just members of the community, but it's somebody that's relevant to the industry. And this week, as I always am, I'm super excited to bring you this week's on-air podcast with Koby Hastings. He is the CEO and founder of Leadrilla. We're going to get into what Leadrilla means and what it's all about. But Koby, thank you. I welcome you to the on-air podcast, and thank you for taking the time to do this for us.
Absolutely, Rob. Thanks for having me.
Oh man, I can't wait to dig into this one because this is one I've been waiting to really understand a little bit more about what you're doing. So help me understand. First of all, you're the CEO and founder of Leadrilla. Help me break down a little bit about what your background is, where you came from, how did you evolve into this world, crazy world of lead generation, and then give me a 50,000-foot overview of what Leadrilla is or who it is.
Yeah, so a little background about me. Personally, I'm from Kentucky, born and raised, still live here. We're based in Lexington, Kentucky. I grew up in Louisville, about an hour west of here, and just got into software at a really young age. I was in high school, I was 16, and I started a web development company. And that was when I was getting my feet wet. That was, I got started
Underachiever.
pretty young.
You're an
Um,
underachiever.
and it was just something I loved to do outside of sports and golf, basketball, baseball. I did all that. But outside of that, when I was at home, I was always in my room writing code, building websites, designing stuff, um, and it just kind of consumed my time. And so when I was 16, I guess I was a sophomore or junior. I started building websites for clients in Louisville. Did that, through high school, and then I went to Eastern Kentucky University for computer science. And I was still doing websites for clients and kind of managing that with schoolwork as well. And I ended up kind of pushing clients off to people I knew back in Louisville just because it was busy. Worked at a software company through college. And when I got out of college, I worked at a blockchain startup for about 3 years. So this was in the early days of Bitcoin, blockchain, and that was a crazy industry. But I learned a lot. We were building a trade finance platform um, on a fork of the Bitcoin network for some of the largest banks in the world. So it was a really cool experience. Had a lot of big time investors behind us and a really good team. So I was there for about 3 years and then left there and started my own stuff. For 2 years, we had a company, Tech 29, where we built software for banks using blockchain technology, kind of consultants. And then about a year and a half ago, 2 years, I came across the idea of Leadrilla, and we dropped. We quit doing work for clients. We dropped that business and went full on with Leadrilla with the limited runway, and that was it. That's where it all began.
Well, just
So,
that's it.
high level, what Leadrilla is a platform for. It allows an independent agent. It started out in life insurance. We're in other verticals now, but allows an agent to easily come on, create a campaign. It's basically their own lead gen campaign, and our software in the background goes out and generates leads for them on Facebook, on landing pages, also through partners that are trusted partners that we've went out and vetted and made sure they can drive quality traffic to us. So we kind of do all that work behind the scenes and automate that with our software platform so that it delivers a very simple, easy to use way for an agent. Even if they want 5 leads a week, we can serve that agent completely hands off. Or if it's an agency that wants thousands of leads a week, they can come on and set that up, and we're completely hands off. So the software just automates all that. So that's kind of 50,000-foot level.
Sometimes you get on these calls and you think you can hang with that person, and sometimes you realize they're way out of your class. That's exactly how my high school years went. Man, dude, like, I don't know if you heard me as you were explaining that. I kept saying underachiever, I mean, like, look, come on, shoot your bar a little bit higher. Um, that is bizarre. I mean, I'm certainly excited. I've known you now for what, 6 months or so, 7 months, and that's the first time I've heard you tell that story in its entirety. So I think you ought to tell it more often. You might alienate some of the audience. I don't know, but in general, what an impressive background. I literally now it makes a lot of sense as you continue to evolve in what I work with you with LeadsCouncil. A lot of this now is starting to connect the dots with it. You know, I think that we want to back up just a little bit because you did call me or you emailed me. I can't remember what the first touch point was, but you called me out of the blue. You weren't on my radar. I had never heard of Leadrilla. I never heard of Koby Hastings, and yet you got a hold of me. How was that, by the way? Do you remember what it was? Was it, did you email me or I don't know?
I think I submitted something on the website,
Well, that
and then
works.
you reached out. Yeah.
Good. So I typically know of most people in the industry. I have them on my radar. They're on our, prospect list or something. I never heard of you. And I remember that call though, because it struck me as somebody who, you know, eyes wide open, coming into this, asking all the right questions, which was amazing to me because I get a lot of people on the phone when they're first trying to find out about the council, and the questions a lot of times are not focused on things that we're interested in. And I always wonder, is this a good fit when that happens? But with you, you went about it the right way. It sounded as if when you were going to build this and launch this and get this out there, that compliance was a big part of what you were looking for. Is that the case?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely don't want to end up with a lawsuit or in jail. So that was a big a big thing to figure out. And look, like when we'll get into this more, but this all started at a very simple thing where I was generating leads for my brother and his insurance agency, like very small scale. And so, several months into it, as we started to do more and more and talk to more agents and agencies, we realized that there was a need for what we were building, and that we needed to build it at scale. And so, I mean, I've never been in this industry. Nobody that works for us have been, on our team is in this industry. So our only chance was to go out and find people that were in it, and trust them to, try to get connected with others. And that's what Leads Council was.
I remember that. So you were largely a company that was, buying media, specifically Facebook, social traffic, and just filling a need. You said for your brother, is that right?
Yeah.
On the insurance side, and somewhere along the way, you recognized that this could actually turn into something bigger. Were you aware at that point in time that there was this whole industry of buying and selling leads? Had you been exposed to that, or at least at the level that you know it today?
So I remember when I was in, my brother lives in Florida, down in Pensacola, and I was down there. We play in a golf tournament every year together. This was in 2018, and he was explaining to me that how they get leads, and specifically direct mail leads. And I was like, wait a minute, you pay like 50 or more dollars for a card that was mailed to somebody. They wrote their information down and they mailed it back to you, and you paid that much for that. He's like, yeah, absolutely. We pay for a lot of them. I'm like, all right. So no, I didn't know there was this industry was out there. I was familiar with the performance marketing industry at very low level. So no, I didn't really know how big it was or what it was or anybody in it or anything.
So where was it along the way though? And I don't know if it was about the same time you started talking to me or engaging with the council, but where along the way did the light bulb go on that, hey, look, I mean, well, I guess from that conversation you did start generating some traffic to help push leads to your brother, and
Right.
it happened to be in the insurance field, so that's the industry that you just started out in.
Right.
No particular reason other than it was family. And
Yeah.
then where along the way did it change from feeding your brother a few leads that he was nice enough to buy off of you to where you started looking at quality, looking at quantity, and then looking at the fact that this is an actual industry along the way?
Yeah. So I guess we started with him and a few of his, people on his team, and they all started buying from us. We started out just generating on Facebook, taking them down and putting them in a spreadsheet, emailing them to each one of them, like super manual process. And I remember I was on my 1 year anniversary in Bahamas, and I was like by the pool, copy and pasting leads from Facebook into spreadsheets, like sending them out. So that was like that's when we started. And then so we did it for him and some of his other agents. And then, we realized that, we could generate pretty good quality. They were converting these just like they were their direct mail leads, and we could do them at half the price. And so we started reaching out to other agents just kind of everywhere, not specifically with his insurance company, but just anywhere. And we just had conversations. We probably had 200, 300 calls with just random people that we hit up on LinkedIn, insurance agents, and just told them what we were trying to do and just listened to them and just ask questions. And we just kept hearing the same consistent pain points that they were having with not only direct mail, but just internet leads and being able to get a consistent flow and finding a vendor they can trust. And that was the biggest word. And like starting this whole company and us growing is trust. Like our whole goal is just to add trust to these agents. And that's something that it's really, most agents, they don't find trust with all these. There's a lot of lead vendors that you can't get that. So yeah, sorry if I went off on a tangent there, but
No, no, that actually was perfect because I think that, now, especially as I'm learning on the fly with others as they're watching this, a lot of the initial conversations you and I had about what you were looking to accomplish and what you were looking for out of the council now make a lot of sense because of that backstory. If you identified early on that trust was the number one common denominator in the buyer or the customer for you, it's easy to start building a product or a service knowing that that's the one thing I have to deliver with everything we do.
right.
So at that time, was it called Leadrilla, or when did
It
that
was.
happen? It was.
So
What?
Leadrilla, I guess it was around that time when we started generating leads, and then once we started talking to people, we just needed a name, to have, and we came up with Leadrilla and put the logo together, and I mean that was the start. Threw up a simple website, and then started
You,
hitting everybody up.
so there's no like zoo story or something like that. Nothing. Damn.
No, nothing
I was,
cool. Sorry, I could
I
have made
was
something up.
really hoping that there would be just this exotic, like you'd been to the Bahamas. I was on this trip, and oh man, now you've let me down.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all right. We'll get past it, I'm sure. So now I've taken you through the early days of Kobe, but the early days of Leadrilla. Along the way, as you continue to start build a lot of this volume, quantity with quality built into it, something exposed you to the fact that this could be a larger industry or a larger opportunity for you. Is that what happened?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
what was that? I mean, how did you get access and learn about like even the council or LeadsCon or any of these types of terms that most people in the industry already know?
And I think it was just research. I think once we hit a point where we had realized that, after we had had all these conversations with agents and realized that there was a demand for this, and kind of when we pitched our vision to them, it's almost like we're out raising money like to VCs when we were talking to these agents. We were like telling them our ideas for the future and what we want to do, and they loved the idea, and so we knew there was demand. Um, and then at that point, it was just boots on the ground building a product that could handle the scale. Um, and so yeah, it all kind of happened then. I guess we built the product, and then we started doing mostly Facebook ads. And then I guess we just started looking into conferences we could go to and start to get our name out there. And that's when, of course, we came across LeadsCon, and probably from LeadsCon is how we got to LeadsCouncil. Um, but yeah, and then, just like we hit up agents and started talking to them, we just hit up people in the industry and try to figure out where we would fit in this industry. Because I mean, I'll tell you, 3 or 4 months ago, I didn't know where we fit in this industry. I just knew we had customers that liked what we were building. Um, so then it was, I guess the past year has been figuring out how we fit in the industry and what partners we can work with and how that can help us deliver value to our end customer.
Are you excited? I mean, as you learn more about this industry, I mean, it's wide and deep, obviously, filled with a lot of legacy, but also a lot of new. It's one of those industries that, to me, it invigorates me because I'm getting older, and as I get older, I could completely slip into, just comfort. And one of the things I like about this industry is I wake up every morning and I'm like, whoa, that's a new one, or I'm constantly like, bobbing and weaving because of the nature of what we do as lead generators and performance marketers. So for you, um, I'm looking at the website right now, which is a new redesign, which I know that I think I want to pitch on here because I made comment to you before we started that I was expecting this, bells and whistles type, young guy, young entrepreneur out there. He's going to hit it and kill it with visuals and videos. But I was impressed by the subtlety of it and how you focus on those things that are core to you, the quality, the industry or vertical, knowing your sweet spot and staying in within your lane and making sure that that's evident and relevant and prevalent from the minute you land on the landing page to the whole scroll down at the bottom. How has that journey been for you and what have you learned? I know there's a lot I'm asking here, but like, what is this like? What have you started to learn as you continue to get deeper and deeper into this?
Um, Man, I mean, as far as like that website and redesigning that and fitting our brand, I think it all goes back to trust. Like I want when agents come to our website and they've never heard of us before, one, I want them to remember the Leadrilla logo, and two, I want them to remember us as that's a vendor, lead vendor. I can go buy leads from whenever I want. I have full control over my leads. I trust them. They have good support. They work with me and they're a partner. And so that's what I want people to remember. And I mean, sometimes these agents fall on websites that they get to, and it's like fire on the screen on the website. It's like hot leads delivered right to you. And so I want them to trust us as a platform they can just come to and use when they need leads. They're always going to need leads, and if we deliver the trust and value, then we're gonna be successful. So that's our whole goal, and I think that we designed that website, and I mean that was the whole goal of it, is
I
to give that
feel it.
feeling.
I mean, it's simple, powerful, trustworthy. It's right there
Yeah,
in bold letters, right in your face. But one of the things that caught me that I want to talk about very quickly is the fact that I knew that you were in insurance, but I didn't know that you had now started to look at another vertical, solar. What got you into that, and what's the evolution of that story?
yeah. So that's one of many to come. We're gonna do a bunch of verticals, but back when we started this whole idea, of course, we started in life because that's where we had demand, um, and how we kind of got into this. But when we built the product and built it to scale, like the core of the system is when an agent turns on a lead feed, that's what we call it. It's basically a lead campaign. They set up a few parameters, what type of lead they want, how many they want per week, and they put a card on file and they select where they want it on a map. Once they turn that on, our software turns on ads on Facebook with daily budgets calculated based on past performance in those zip codes. So it's all built to serve localized ads and have all this and all that automation that can be used in any industry, not just life. We started in life just because that's where we had the connections and we were able to get off the ground. So now we just launched that in solar. And for us, it was just configuring a few things on the site, to where we, add a few more products and have build new ads. And now that whole automation, all that stuff can just happen for that vertical as well.
Was there
So,
anything in particular about solar that caught your eye or interest, or what was it that?
um, I mean, there's definitely demand out there. There's a lot of demand. Um, and speaking to partners in the industry, they, just hearing that they have a lot of volume in solar, we knew that we'd be able to launch it, generate our own volume, but also know that on the back end we could go to our partners as well if we needed to have more volume as well. So that's kind of we started to see demand from solar companies hitting us up, asking if we do those types of leads, but largely just talking to people in the industry.
Setting COVID aside, because I want to get back to how this has impacted you, but setting that aside, as a young business, completely evolutionary in its formation and growth, and young as well, the business. What have been some of the biggest obstacles? What have been those things where you now have some hindsight that you can look in the rear view and say, this or that, or if I had it all to do over again, is there any of those moments that you would go back in and look?
Huh.
You'd have bought more Bitcoin. That's what your
Yeah, that would have
that's
been
what the
nice.
rear view mirror says, right?
I had one in college and I sold it at the 1200 peak. which was a good sell at that time. But then it, of course, the 20K run up. So that would have been nice. um, I don't know. I mean, I think,
Have you experienced, you know, staffing, logistically? I see. I mean, you've got a great office. How long has that office been there? And I just think that those types of things, as a young business person who's out there trying to, make their way, put their mark out there, and grow in an industry that could be very cutthroat at times. Also,
yeah,
have you experienced any of these things? I mean, I know from the council's standpoint, when you joined, one of the things that I committed to you, and hopefully you would agree to, is one of the values that I think that I have as an executive director of a membership association with so many members. I have the ability to look at what your story is, look at what your demand is or what your need is, and start connecting the dots with you and those people. Has that helped? And has there been other areas that either have been likewise as beneficial in your journey, or some areas that you were like, that was harder than I thought? Any of those types of things, certainly.
yeah. So a couple things. One, like with LeadsCouncil, we've been connected. Like that's like we've let's say 6 months ago we started reaching out to add third-party sources to fill volume. Um, and when we started that, because there were certain areas that were just saturated and we couldn't generate enough volume for the demand we had. And when we started that, we didn't want to just reach out to random lead vendors and say, "Hey, can you fill volume here? We need some." Um, we wanted to take a very conservative approach at that and be really careful with who we selected. And that's where the people you connected me with, that chain of connections got us to the right people, and that's allowed us to fill volume, um, from trustable, reliable sources that now we've built partnerships with that we'll work with for a long time. So that's been a huge value of the Leads Council. And I was going to say, one thing I would do differently is join Leads Council earlier, but I joined it like right off the bat. So uh,
You could have done it
that's
back
one
in your
thing.
Bitcoin days.
Yeah,
I would have gladly accepted some of those as membership dues, but
yeah.
uh,
Um, and then another one, I guess. So like we serve the like our goal is to have this platform that's scalable and automated, so we can serve you know the thousands and thousands of agents that want 5 to 10 leads a week. A lot of them probably complain about nine or if not 10 of them. And so that's been a huge challenge since we started. Um, our goal is to serve hundreds of thousands of agents and users. And so when we built the platform, we had to think of how we can scale that, and how can we, you know, how many employees are we going to have if we're going to have 500,000 users at once. So that was a huge challenge, and I think we've done a pretty good job thus far. We've grown really quick and brought on a lot of users, and I think we've gotten better and better at customer service as we've grown. It started out, it was tough, and anybody in this industry that works with independent agents buying leads, that you get a lot of complaints. I mean, you just do. And so, as forming policies, we had to do that, and sticking to policies and being lenient where we can. Um, but at the and there's, I mean, if there's agents listening to this, our customers, like, we try as hard as we can to provide the best service we can, just so you trust our platform. So yeah, that's something that's we're all constantly focusing on to try to make it better, is just the customer service aspect. But it's challenging when you're dealing with a large volume of agents and users. So
a couple of things to the audience out there that's listening. I want to point out some very important things that Koby just said. His connection with the council helps shorten the gap of, one, learning, and two, getting the connections he needs. So call me whenever you see
exactly.
this. The other thing I'd
Bro,
like to point out is that it sounds as if Koby correctly said the
mhm.
word Louisville. Louisville. I
Louisville,
wanted to say
Louisville.
that on, because I called it Louisville for the longest time before before I got close to that town. Um, I want now to move to COVID because it's impacting everybody today and it's impacting different companies differently. But in particular, we have a little bit of a connection to this because in conjunction with your affiliation with the council, you also attended one of our industry impact events in Orlando earlier this year, and that was
Yep.
right at the cusp of infection, right?
Yeah.
In fact, I think I came home and was sick, so we know that it was around us at all times, but one of the reasons why I'm bringing this up is that you did spend the time and your money to go to Orlando and learn about some of these things that may not be top of mind for you. TCPA, Americans with Disability Act, CCPA, all of these things. How important and kind of give me a scale of where your knowledge was on these things and where you quickly have now identified them as potential things on your radar you need to pay attention to. As an agent or somebody in the life insurance world, I don't know, where this automatic telephone dialing system and your agents cross over and where TCPA may hit you or not hit you, but certainly as you continue to grow your business and have people or consumers in California, CCPA is going to impact you at some level. Where does that all factor into you as a CEO of a company doing this with such a risk factor? What's in your mind there, and how are you dealing with it?
Yeah. So I guess I always knew it was, TCPA was a pretty big deal, but when we got into this, I didn't know much about it at all. Um, I, I knew the basic guidelines around it and what you can and can't do, but I didn't know, the extent of and like different things, like the ever changing things, like every week something's new. Um, and going to Orlando, I learned a lot just in that few hour, was it 4 hour session, or I
It's
guess it was all
actually
day
almost
thing.
8.
Yeah. Well,
When you're
time went
having
by.
fun, though, it
Uh,
flies by.
yeah. um, I learned a lot. One of the biggest things I probably took away from that is how the whole chain can be pulled into a lawsuit, not just the end, company that delivers a lead or whatever the violation is. That the whole chain can be pulled into a lawsuit. Um, that raised my eyebrows a lot. I knew
As it
that
should.
that probably could happen to an extent, um, but it was really interesting to me. And I mean, I've just learned a ton just being in LeadsCouncil, and I mean, subscribing to TCPA World. That's another shout out. Uh,
Eric
um,
Troutman will love that, trust
yeah,
me.
every single day there's something new in my
His
inbox.
ears ring when people mention his name.
Yeah. But yeah, actually, when we came out of Orlando, we actually brought a new feature into our platform that we haven't built yet, but it's in the queue, that is going to add a lot of value to our users, and I think it's going to protect us in a huge way. So I won't give many details on it, but
It's a bit of a scoop. I'll take that part of it as something's coming. We'll
yeah,
we'll just leave it at that. But I guess where I want to take this is that it sounds as if compliance, protecting the consumer, protecting your customer, the agent, or whoever it is that's buying the lead from you, keeping them safe, keeping the consumer safe, keeping them at top of mind is important to you as you continue
yeah,
to build out this ecosystem.
yeah. I mean, it all comes back full circle to the one word: trust.
Trust.
We're going
Mm,
out and doing the work to make sure that they're safe and protected legally. We're going to do everything we can and give them the information they need on every lead they buy. That builds trust, and that's what we're trying to do.
that's awesome. So to bring it a little bit closer to COVID and we were in Orlando. We knew something was going on. We had no idea the scope and scale of what we were about to get hit with. How has that impacted Leadrilla and you and subsequently? I mean, are you all still working out of the office? Did you have to do some remote things? How has that impacted you?
Yeah, so we did 6 weeks remote. We all worked from home, same hours. We had 3 calls in a day, 9, 12, and 4. We all hopped on, hung out for 15, 30 minutes, and just kind of caught up, made sure, status of things. And so we did that for 6 weeks. This was our second week back in the office. Um, we actually had 2 employees have babies during that 6 week period.
Wow.
So, like, um, so that was, I mean, they were going to be working remote anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're back in the office now. Um, and so, but as far as the impact it had on us, I mean, we definitely took a pretty big hit from the jump. As states started to shut down, it was like volume just down, down,
Mhm.
down.
Mhm.
Because all of our agents, in the life space, the majority of them sell to seniors. They're selling final expense insurance. A pretty good chunk of our users. So, they're selling that in home. Not a good amount of them are set up to do telesales and sell remote, but a lot of them aren't, and they're not trained to do that. So we definitely took a hit. I mean, we tried to get through and do as much as we could with the demand we had, and we filled that. But we kind of took it as a time just to build everything we can. While customer service is low, let's just do what we can and build new stuff for the future. And so we spent this time. We launched solar during this period. We did a big platform update, so that we can launch this. And now we're in life and solar, and Medicare is coming really soon. And so we just made the best of it. We were fortunate to get in the first wave of the PPP, so that helped a lot. Um,
Yeah.
and the past 2 weeks, I mean, things are starting to ramp up. They've gotten better and better. So
So you're actually seeing some come back to life activity. That's
absolutely. So about, I'd say, 3 or 4 weeks into the everything being shut down, we were remote. It started to come back slowly, week by week. Um, and I think a lot of the insurance carriers adapted really, really quick to this. And even the IMOs we worked with, and just independent agencies, they all adapted really fast and started training on how to sell remote. Um, and so that was, I mean, that was pretty cool to see, like, a huge insurance carriers completely pivoting and changing their entire processes to accept e-applications for seniors. And like, it was just crazy. And all that, because of that, it helped our volume come back up, because agents were then able to buy leads and sell remotely. So
Did you see any opportunity there for maybe future, enhancement products, services that you offer, as you move on and learn from all of this? There's something to take away from it, obviously, and I think everybody's going to be a little bit more positioned if this thing either continues on or resurfaces, whatever
yeah,
news you believe. But in general, I would imagine you're getting prepared for being able to be even more value along the way, I guess.
yeah, definitely. We started to see more demand for leads where the prospect schedules a Zoom appointment, and it's clear that when they fill out the form or whatever it is, that they're setting up a Zoom appointment to have a consultation over Zoom. They can do an application over it and everything. We saw a lot of demand for that. We didn't get into it, just because of resources. We were focused on other things, but I definitely saw demand there. And I think that demand will stay going forward now that agents are trained and equipped to sell remote.
And the consumers also adopted their understanding and acceptance to some of the technology as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Super exciting to see this. I mean, look, I mean, it's a terrible thing that's happened, but even you mentioned all the things that you accomplished during COVID, but you also launched a new website as well. So during all of that, I think that that's been the message that I've seen from the industry is that okay, yeah, we're all doing things that are different, but we're going to maximize every single minute that we have
Yeah.
available to do this. Let's fast forward. LeadsCon is coming up in at the end of September, early October. Where do you see this going for Leadrilla, and what is the next step for you guys? Growing more verticals, doing work with more partners. Help me understand what the goal of Leadrilla, short and long term, looks like. For your
Yeah.
future.
Yeah. So right now, our focus is on growth in terms of agents we're serving. I say agents, but it's really users now that we're not just in life. Um, Focusing on getting new people in, and we have a pretty aggressive um, process of that, and we bring on quite a bit each day. Um, but as far as the industry, we want to grow in terms of finding more good partners for each of these verticals we're in. So that's our biggest goal at conferences like LeadsCon, is finding good partners that we can work with, catching up with partners we already are working with, and thinking through new ideas that we could launch. One thing, another part of that is for new software features, not just finding partners to get volume. Our platform is really, we have a lot of features that we deliver to the agent when they buy leads from us beyond just buying the lead. That's software features within the platform and something they can use every day from their phone while they're out in the field, or from their computer, any device. They can use those to their advantage when they're setting appointments, or just staying organized. There's a lot of features that we can build, and something we've done over the past few months is talk to industry partners, mostly software companies, where we can come up with creative ways to deliver more value, by adding features into our system, and letting our users use that. So that's something at LeadsCon we'll be doing, as well as trying to find partners like that.
Do you have a are you exhibiting there, or are you just attending this year, or
We're not as of now, but it's on our radar.
let's well, before we end this, I want to make sure that people know how to get a hold of you if they want to inquire about what you're
Yeah,
doing or potentially partner up with you. What would be the
yeah.
best way that you would like to get them?
Hit me up on LinkedIn. You can either send me one there, or on our website. If you just fill out the contact form, that goes to all of us here, so we can jump on that pretty quick.
Very quick, very cool. Is there anything that we haven't covered that you would like to, like, maybe I missed out, or something that is very cool about? Do you have, first of all, because AC Evans from Drips, he one ups everybody with the things that he's able to do. He's got an executive chef, right? Although at Convoso they have a massage therapist that comes in and does massages. Have you got anything cool over there in Kentucky for the people?
Well, I can't really show it now; it's not set up. But so there's a ping pong table over here. Um,
Oh, I
and
thought
once
that
we
was a
got bored
corporate.
with,
I thought that was I thought it was your corporate desk.
well, I was
But
blocking the ping pong thing so you couldn't see it. Uh, we got tired of ping pong and made our own game, which is like a, almost like a tennis-sized court in our office, and we call it Pongrilla.
Really?
And it's same rules as ping pong, but I mean, you're basically running around. It's like life-size ping pong. We call it Pongrilla. So we play that about 75% of the day.
What, 75% of the day? Very productive. You must have computers tied to their neck. You will have to at some point take a video of that and post that. I don't know if it's on your social feeds or not,
We'll
but I think people must see this live game of
we'll
Pongrilla.
video game. We'll get it up there.
For sure. Well, Kobe, look, man, one of the reasons why it was important for me to do this with you is that I showcase a lot of companies that are well established, that have a lot of legacy experience and reputation in the industry. But I think the most exciting thing that I get to deal with on a day to day basis are these companies like yours that come out of nowhere, haven't heard of you before, and you just bring a breath of fresh air to the experience. And I love the energy. I love the seeking of knowledge that you constantly are hitting me up for. You're not afraid to ask a question. You're not afraid to say I don't know something, and that to me is the mark of somebody that's truly destined for success. And I thought it was important for people to get exposure to that. And I certainly appreciate the time that you've spent today. Do you have anything else before we sign off?
I don't. I'll probably think of something after this, but no,
We
I'm
all
I'm good.
we all do. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
I missed that one opportunity for sure. Well, everybody, once again, thank you for spending time today. Kobe has said that if you'd like to reach out to him, hit him up on LinkedIn. It's Kobe Hastings, Hastings, right? And then
Yep.
you've got the Leadrilla name right behind you on the wall, so they should be able to get that one down, or they can hit you up with a form on your website. Correct?
Yep. Exactly.
Awesome. Well, it's the end of the week. It's close to the end of the day, especially you guys being over there in Louisville time. I don't know if Lexington is Louisville time or not, but
Eastern.
are you the same?
Yeah, it's the same as Louisville.
Awesome. So it's a beer 30 for everybody. It's time to get going. I appreciate you spending the rest of or the late part of your week with me, and we'll get this up and running very quickly. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for your time, Rob. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.